In Los Angeles, Mike carefully washes himself before grabbing his gun and getting into his car. He activates a tracker to locate Massud's vehicle and begins following him through the city. When Massud enters a tunnel, Mike speeds ahead and blocks the exit. As Massud stops behind him, Mike puts on a mask and opens his trunk. Massud approaches, and Mike immediately points his gun at him. After searching his pockets, Mike forces him into the trunk and demands his phone password. He tells there is water inside before closing the trunk. Mike then removes the tracker he had secretly installed months earlier on Massud's car and returns to his own vehicle to leave. Meanwhile, cousins Ben and Ali prepare their guns before entering a jewelry shop. The owner, Sammy, hands them a set of diamonds, which they place inside a briefcase. Sammy then takes Ben into his office and reveals that the diamonds in the suitcase are fake. The real ones are worth $3 million and Ben must hide them inside his socks. At that moment, Mike parks outside the shop and sends Sammy a message using Massud's phone, claiming he is ready. Before the cousins leave, Sammy asks to see their guns. Unsatisfied with Ali's weapon, he gives him a new one. The cousins leave in their car, and Mike follows them while pretending to be Massud. Eventually, they stop at a parking lot. Mike puts on his mask again and deliberately parks too close to them. He points his gun at them and shows a live broadcast of Ben's house on his phone as a threat. Mike orders them to drop their guns and phones into his car. He then steps out and demands the real diamonds, revealing that he knows the suitcase contains fakes. Ben initially pretends not to understand, but Mike mentions his wife by name, forcing him to cooperate. Ben hands over the real diamonds. Mike then returns to his car and releases Massud. During the distraction, Ali quietly grabs a second gun. When Mike returns and hands back the phones, Ali points the gun at him. His hand trembles, causing him to miss the shot and hit the window instead. A panicked Mike speeds away, driving recklessly through the city. He nearly crashes several times and hits another car from behind, but continues until he reaches a parking lot. There, he pauses to calm himself, removes his contact lens, covers the car, and switches to another vehicle before leaving. Elsewhere, Sharon visits Steven at his luxurious mansion to sell him an insurance policy. After demonstrating his security system, Steven pulls out a gun and takes Sharon to the window, urging her to shoot a bottle. Having never fired a gun before, Sharon misses. They move to a table by the pool to discuss policy details. Sharon notices a young woman passing by and assumes she is Steven's daughter, but he reveals she is his fiancée. Sharon attempts to include her in the discussion, but the atmosphere becomes uncomfortable. Meanwhile, detectives Lou and Tillman arrive at the parking lot to investigate the robbery. They question the cousins and find it suspicious that the robber had so much information. Ben insists he was not involved. They discover a security camera that had been cut. Lou explains that he believes this is the same robber he has been tracking for months. The pattern is consistent. No violence. Cameras disabled in advance, precise timing, and a quick escape using Route 101. Tillman remains skeptical and reveals that his lieutenant wants him to change partners. He refused, but warns Lou to get himself together before it damages their careers. When Mike returns home, he hides the diamonds inside a cup. He then notices an injury on his head caused by the shattered window. He checks his mask and finds blood on it, realizing there may also be blood in the abandoned car. Later that evening, Mike meets with Money, a buyer who deals in stolen goods on the black market. Mike admits he is nervous about an upcoming job in Santa Barbara because civilians will be involved and he wants to avoid harming anyone. Money advises him to come up with a better plan. Before leaving, Mike swaps cups with him, after which Money makes a discreet phone call. Later, Mike hires a woman at a hotel but finds himself unable to relax. He returns home and begins researching employees from the insurance company, focusing particularly on Sharon's profile. The following day, the insurance company discusses the stolen diamonds, and Sharon is assigned to speak with the police. She becomes irritated when another colleague is given Steven's account instead. At the police station, Tillman and Lou question Sammy, who is offended by any suggestion of fraud. Sammy insists he did not discuss the diamonds with anyone and only communicated through emails, leading to the conclusion that he was hacked. At a diner, Mike pays a hacker to gather intelligence on Sharon, including her social media, emails, calendar, and messages. Meanwhile, Orman rides his bike at high speed to a parking lot where Money is waiting. Money explains that Mike has lost his nerve and will not take the Santa Barbara job, so he wants Orman to handle it instead. That night, Mike is driving calmly when another car suddenly rear-ends him. Maya approaches Mike after the accident and asks for his insurance information. Mike offers to pay cash for the damage, but since the car belongs to her boss, Maya insists on following official procedures. She forces him to exchange information before leaving. The next day, Sharon meets with Lou and explains that the insurance company wants Sammy and the cousins to undergo polygraph tests. Lou immediately recognizes that the company is trying to avoid paying and criticizes their tactics. Sharon responds by criticizing corruption within the police force. The conversation escalates into an argument, and Sharon mentions that statistics suggest the robbery could be an inside job. This sparks an idea for Lou, and he abruptly leaves. At the police station, Lou gathers his team and presents a map showing 219 robberies over the past 4 years. He begins removing cases that do not match certain characteristics, including low-value thefts, use of violence, armored transport, or any evidence left behind. The remaining cases form a pattern along the 101 freeway. Lou theorizes that the robber hacks jewelers' communications to track merchandise movement. Based on the pattern, he predicts the next robbery will occur in the north. After the meeting, the lieutenant criticizes Lou's presentation. He explains that several cases already have suspects and one has been closed. Reopening them would hurt the department's clearance rate. The department's priority is maintaining strong statistics, leaving Lou without support. Meanwhile, Orman parks his bike outside a bank and observes a man carrying a suitcase. The man later enters a jewelry store in Santa Barbara. Orman follows him inside, jumps him, and pulls out a gun. When he attempts to take the suitcase, he realizes it is handcuffed to the man's wrist. Orman forces everyone to the ground and checks the back office, where he only finds a baby. He strikes a woman with his gun and demands the key from the man. The man claims it is in his car. When Orman looks outside and sees no vehicles, he becomes furious and starts beating the man until he reveals the key is around his neck. Orman unlocks the suitcase and prepares to leave, but notices more valuable jewelry. He grabs an employee and forces her to unlock display cabinets. After she fills his bag with jewelry, he orders everyone to lie on top of the first victim. As he tries to leave, he finds the door locked. He returns to press the button, but it locks again before he escapes. He fires at a cabinet to force someone to move. The alarm begins ringing as an employee presses the button, allowing Orman to finally escape. Meanwhile, Mike texts Maya and asks her out. That evening, they meet at an upscale restaurant. Mike pretends to be a traveling software developer. Maya admits she feels uncomfortable in such a place, so Mike suggests they leave. They switch to street food instead, where they talk and begin to connect despite their differences. At the end of the night, Maya agrees to see him again. After she leaves, Mike learns about Orman's robbery through the news. At a diner, Lou meets with his wife, who reveals she has been cheating on him. When Tillman calls, Lou ignores it to continue the conversation. His wife offers to move out, but Lou insists that he will leave instead. Their argument escalates before he storms out. Later, Lou joins his team at the jewelry store. Tillman notes that the robbery fits Lou's theory since the location is in the north. However, Lou believes this is a different robber because the usual suspect avoids violence. Meanwhile, Mike confronts Money, accusing him of using his information but sending someone else. Mike feels betrayed and warns that he will stop working with him if it happens again. Money angrily reminds Mike that he owes his success to him, but Mike walks away. At the insurance company, Sharon watches Sammy undergo the polygraph test. Sammy is offended and insults Sharon and her company during the process. Later, Money instructs Orman to follow Mike. Instead of completing the next robbery himself, Orman is told to let Mike carry it out and then rob Mike afterward. That afternoon, Orman watches Mike meet with the hacker. The information is encrypted on a strange website, and Mike receives instructions on how to access it. After Mike leaves, Orman checks his phone, revealing that he has placed a tracker on Mike's car. At home, Mike studies Sharon's information and learns her schedule. The next day, he follows her to a restaurant. As she prepares to leave, Mike pretends to be another client and starts a conversation about cars. At the police station, Lou and Tillman review robbery footage. Lou concludes that the robber switched vehicles and decides to search the area. That evening, Maya visits Mike's place for another date. She notices the lack of personal belongings and family photos. Mike explains that he is not in touch with his family and grew up poor, so he does not keep many possessions. Maya plays music and convinces him to dance. The moment becomes intimate, leading to kissing and growing closer. Afterward, Maya begins to get dressed, but Mike persuades her to stay. The following night, Mike steps onto the balcony for fresh air and notices a distant light revealing Orman's location. After watching him leave on his bike, Mike quickly heads to his car and searches every inch until he finds the tracker. He removes it immediately, then makes a call to rent a new place. The next morning, Orman disguises himself as a delivery driver and forces his way into the hacker's apartment. He throws the hacker around the room before pinning him down and pressing a gun into his mouth, demanding to know what he has been doing for Mike. Meanwhile, Lou continues searching parking lots across the area. He finally spots the covered car and checks inside, discovering broken glass. Soon, the forensic team conducts a full search and finds a tiny drop of blood. Later, Mike visits an art gallery, knowing Sharon will be there. He pretends their meeting is a coincidence, and Sharon recognizes him from the restaurant. They begin chatting and eventually share a drink. Sharon explains that her job has taught her to read people, and Mike invites her to read him. She concludes that he is someone with secrets, slightly obsessive, and a man with too much money and too much time. She also senses that he did not grow up wealthy. Mike grows uncomfortable and changes the subject before admitting their meeting was intentional. He begins listing details he has learned about her, including her 11 years at the same company without a promotion. He explains that he partners with people who provide information for his robberies and that he ensures no one gets hurt or traced. Sharon is offended by the idea of stealing, but Mike counters by suggesting her company's shareholders are not entirely clean either. Sharon decides to leave. Mike tells her that if she changes her mind, she should post a photo of the beach on Instagram. After Sharon leaves, Mike notices Orman outside the bar and rushes to follow him. A high-speed chase begins, with both drivers making sharp turns and endangering other vehicles. A bus briefly blocks Mike's path, forcing him to stop. When it moves, Orman is still ahead. They exchange tense looks before the chase resumes. Orman performs several risky maneuvers and eventually causes another car to crash. Mike reacts quickly and dodges the wreck, continuing the pursuit through a busy street. When Orman looks back to check if he is still being followed, he crashes into another car and falls off his bike. Mike watches him walk away and follows him into a store where Orman grabs a drink. Orman tries to appear calm, but Mike confronts him aggressively, pushing him against a refrigerator and demanding answers. Orman bites Mike's hand and pulls out his gun, but eventually admits that money sent him. Mike warns him that if he sees him again, he will not survive. The next day, Sharon discovers Lou attending her yoga class. They talk briefly until Lou receives a call about suspicious vehicles outside a jewelry store. He rushes to the scene and finds another detective shooting a fleeing suspect. When Lou removes the mask, he discovers the suspect is a teenager. The other detective claims the boy was armed. Lou looks again and notices a gun in the boy's hand, but he is certain it was not there before. At the police station, Lou reports what he saw. The lieutenant is displeased and reveals that Tillman has agreed to support the official version. The three detectives are suspended until the investigation concludes. While Lou gathers his belongings, he receives the DNA report from the abandoned car. The results identify Mike, whose real name is James, and reveal his background in foster care, along with a juvenile record. At the insurance company, Sharon becomes frustrated when another employee closes the deal with Steven. After the meeting, her boss informs her she will not receive a promotion this year. Sharon confronts him, pointing out that he has made the same promise for years. She threatens to take her clients elsewhere, but he mocks her, suggesting wealthy clients would not follow her. Furious, Sharon goes to the beach and posts a photo on Instagram. Mike receives the alert and rushes to meet her. Sharon explains that a courier will deliver watches and gems to Steven's wedding suite as favors. Since Steven pays everything in cash, there will also be a large amount of money present. In total, they could steal $1 million, and Sharon demands $300,000. Mike acknowledges the risk and says he will think about it. That night, Lou visits the last address on Mike's file and meets Anne, who is confused about why anyone would be searching for James there. Soon after, Anne leaves Mike a voicemail asking him to call her. Mike calls back and learns that a cop is looking for him. When Anne hands the phone to Lou, Mike immediately hangs up. Later, Mike surprises Sharon in her car and confirms he will go through with the heist. He hands her a disposable phone and instructs her to destroy the SIM card after every call. The next day, Mike visits the wedding hotel to study the security. At the same time, Sharon gathers detailed information about Steven's wedding from the company's system. Later that evening, Sharon returns home, destroys the SIM card, and takes out the trash. As she walks back to her apartment, Orman suddenly attacks her. He knocks her down and hits her repeatedly, threatening to do worse if she refuses to reveal what she has been doing with Mike. The following day, Sharon skips the yoga class but waits until it ends to approach Lou. She shows him her bruises, and they move to the parking lot to talk privately. Sharon explains everything, including that she was forced to tell Orman about the plan. Lou cannot promise to keep her out of jail, but he offers her protection and tells her to stay at his place. While Orman heads to the hotel and begins following one of the employees, Lou returns to the police station and reviews evidence from the diamond robbery. He locates the bag containing the fake diamonds. Meanwhile, Mike meets Maya at a restaurant. He tells her he will be leaving town for work and asks her to wait for him. Maya does not believe the excuse and complains that she knows nothing about him. Mike becomes frustrated and explains that people who grow up with money cannot understand having to do questionable things to survive. The conversation ends with Maya walking away. The next day, Sharon goes to work, but constantly tracks the courier's plane on her phone. She then notices a coworker laughing at their boss's jokes. Sharon storms into her office and vents her frustration, accusing management of making false promises and using younger employees to impress wealthy clients. After insulting her boss, she leaves the office with determination. At the same time, Mike waits in a parking lot near the airport. He finds the guard assigned to the delivery, points a gun at him, and threatens him by showing a live feed of his home. Mike steals the guard's car and phone, planning to impersonate him. When the courier's plane lands, the courier receives an urgent message. Mike arrives to pick him up, unaware that Lou has already switched places with the real courier. During the drive, both men attempt to strike up casual conversation, but the silence is filled with tension as they exchange suspicious glances. Meanwhile, Orman changes into an employee uniform and prepares a room order for the wedding suite. When Mike and Lou reach the hotel, they go directly to Steven's suite. Once inside, Mike pulls out his gun and forces everyone to kneel. Steven refuses to cooperate, but his terrified fiancée reveals that the cash is stored in the safe. Mike forces Steven to open it and collects the money. Mike then instructs Lou to open the briefcase containing the jewels. Lou opens it and retrieves the gun he had hidden earlier. He points it at Mike and reveals he is a police officer. The two threaten each other, but before either can act, Orman bursts into the room. He grabs Mike, disarms him, and points his gun at Lou. The tension escalates as everyone argues, unsure of what to do next. Suddenly, Orman loses control and shoots Steven. He then orders Lou to push the suitcase toward him. However, Orman becomes nervous after realizing Lou has seen his face. The argument continues until Orman suddenly collapses. Mike has secretly taken Lou's gun and shot him. After confirming Orman is dead, Lou moves Mike's gun aside. He tells Mike to leave the city and promises to blame everything on Orman. Mike hesitates, then drops his weapon and leaves. Steven becomes furious, but Lou threatens to investigate him for tax evasion and illegal imports unless he cooperates. Steven reluctantly agrees after his fiancée pressures him. Outside, Mike walks away as police vehicles surround the hotel. Later, Lou rides a bus and reveals he kept Steven's real diamonds while leaving the fake ones behind. He meets Sharon at yoga and gives her the diamonds so she can start a new life. In return, Sharon shows him a picture Mike sent with a message addressed to Lou. Meanwhile, Mike drives out of the city. Later, Lou follows the location shown in the picture and finds Mike's antique car waiting for him with the keys inside. At the same time, Maya receives an envelope containing a childhood photo of Mike. On the back, he apologizes and expresses hope that they can reconnect. Make sure to subscribe to Recap Realm and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.